Thank you to our witnesses. I think you're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel here. Appreciate your investment of time today. I wanted to touch, with the limited time that we have, on a couple of the president or the administration's key policy priorities, energy or climate, as well as immigration/border and how they impact the economy. And a couple of questions to Mr. McBride first. Mr. McBride, the president has stated many times that his proposed tax reforms would help average Americans. How would you reconcile that or contrast that, or perhaps, with the estimate that 80% of the electric vehicle tax credits are going to households with incomes of $100,000 or higher?
Well, clearly that is, like you describe and like anybody can recognize when they look at the sticker prices on electric vehicles, that those are luxury goods. They are not targeting a low-income community with those products. Those are luxury goods that, as good as they are for the planet perhaps, they are very expensive, and they have been expensive for, ever since they've been produced. And so these tax credits, of course, then go to high-income individuals that can afford a $50,000, $67,000, up to $80,000 is what is allowed under these new tax credits towards that's the sticker price of an electric vehicle. Then there's a loophole around that, so that around that provision, and then the income provision. So that is the leasing loophole. And so none of the restrictions, as I understand it, apply to vehicles, electric vehicles that are leased. You can get the credit. It basically flows through the leasing company to the consumer. So, someone making millions of dollars a year, for instance, could lease an electric vehicle and benefit from the credit that way.
Yeah, it's really just obscene that we would, on the backs of regular taxpayers, subsidize vehicles for the wealthiest of Americans. And then as we're trying to force Americans to electric vehicles and restrict production of gas-powered vehicles, what's going to happen to the prices of gas-powered vehicles as their supply is limited? What is that going to do? We can only imagine and speculate what that will do. I also, consistent with what you said, reports that I've read are that the vast majority of electric vehicle owners, you use the term luxury, it is a secondary vehicle because of the impractical nature of it. It's impractical, insufficient number of charging stations, impractical for long-distance travel, that sort of thing. The Biden energy agenda more broadly, combined with the massive inflationary spending, combined with the response, I would suggest misguided response of massively raising interest rates. So the housing prices are up, inflation is up, grocery prices are up, utility prices are up, gas prices are up. So let's sock the American people with higher interest rates to make it so they can't afford to buy homes, or we make the average cost of a mortgage go up about 50%. So your thoughts on how is his doubling down on his Green New Deal tax credits, how's that going to impact the economic or financial future for average Americans?
Well, I think it was sold as an Inflation Reduction Act. Of course, that's the title. And that was all premised on the idea that it would reduce deficits, which was what was originally thought based on the original score from CBO and JCT. We now know that that score was off. It was off in the direction of actually underestimating the cost of these green credits greatly. And so we now, based on the new scores from JCT, it appears the IRA legislation as a whole increases deficits. It's not clear how much. We should hopefully get a new score for the entire bill to find that out. But if there's no deficit reduction in this bill, then there goes the idea that it reduces inflation.
Mr. Pomerleau, with the limited time that we have, I saw a study that says the net cost of illegal immigration in the United States, 16 million or more illegals in the country now, is about $150 billion last year, roughly $9,000 per illegal. Could you speak to the cost to the American taxpayer for the flow of illegals into the country?
Thanks for your question, but this is a little outside of my area of expertise. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on this issue in particular.
Well, I'll just say with the 8 seconds I've got left, it's funny, we have a law in this country where if legal immigrants can't be on the public dole, But illegal immigrants, if you break the law, your first act on the soil of the United States is to break the law, then we give you all the social safety nets, the social welfare, the health care, the social services that we can provide to you. So it's really incredible as we reward illegal immigration. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the gentleman from